Good afternoon, everybody. Not sure why the theme music was not playing. So the show must go on. I think that is going to be a theme for today and in general. I don't know what's happening with the technology right now. Had a few boo boos and glitches last night, and they seem to be continuing into today. But we are going to keep the positive vibes flowing. Hi, I'm your VibeMistress Stephanie Renée, welcoming you to today's edition of the MOJO Live. And we got a lot to talk about. June is Black Music Month. And generally speaking, we are, thanks to the one and only Deanna Williams and her lobbying abilities, we have the right to call June Black Music Month here in the United States, thanks to her efforts. And I have a whole video about it. I will try to share the link to that. That's one of my lingering legacies, along with my brother in culture, Mike Dennis of Real Black Productions. One of the first things I did when I got to WURD was say that, we need to incorporate more conversation around how important the culture is to everything that we do as a people. And we had the opportunity to interview Deanna Williams and a lot of other really, really talented people about their contributions to the culture and their thoughts about our legacy in this space. And so I will make sure that I can put it in the comments, make sure that it is available to you as we continue into June. But the past week has been overrun with people Columbusing their ideas of who belongs on what stage and what music and what everything should be in a space and how it should be presented. And we are going to talk about that this morning, because if there is ever an opportunity for us to say, no, not here, not today, not ever, then we need to be diligent about taking that stance in the here and now. And I'll ease into this from a different way. It is also Pride Month. June is National Pride Month. And the current administration waited until now to say that it was going to change the name of a battleship that was dedicated to the late gay activist Harvey Milk. In an era where we have seen so much of the work that activists have done to be recognized, to be uplifted in our society, there's no longer any attempt for people to deny that the erasure that is happening in our current time is particularly poignant and pointed to communities that have been historically marginalized. And so it's despicable enough to say that you are going to reverse this. When people called for the erasure of Confederate generals or war heroes to have their names taken off of these historical landmarks, it's because A, they lost, B, they were on a racist, separatist premise. Harvey Milk was about being his authentic self and fighting for the rights of others in his community in a moment where Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed in our United States military. It was fitting that a man who served our country and was not allowed to be himself in that capacity to now be recognized on a battleship, because our gay brothers and sisters in the military have been there since time immemorial. And why not have a battleship that represents their community? So for Pete Hegseth to say that he waited specifically until Pride Month to say that they were going to change the name of the ship is so egregious. But what else can we expect in the here and now, y'all? This is the time that we are in. These are the days that we are living in. And so for this to happen in our military is one thing. It's still horrible, but it's one thing, because those of us who prefer peace, those of us who prefer inclusivity, know that we are going to come up against strong opposition when it comes to warfare and our military spending, where and how we're spending those funds. That all is, you automatically know that it's going to be a situation. The one place where we not necessarily assume, but we hope, we ardently hope with the deepest desires of our hearts. Ooh, what just happened? I didn't mean to do that. I tell you, glitch in the matrix. Okay, as I was saying, we ardently hope that in performance, in the performing arts, there will be more welcoming spaces. There will be more opportunity for talented people to be the fullness of themselves, however they present themselves to the world. And that somewhere in the song and in the dance and in the costuming and all of the other things that theater and recordings and film affords us, that we will find some common ground to just let folks be and appreciate the performance itself. But not in the year of our Lord 2025, still. For those of you who are not deep into the arts game, allow me to share. Just give me a second. Allow me to share a screen so that you can get up to speed on this stuff here. All right. I just want to make sure. Yes. So you're seeing what I'm seeing. Okay. Patti LuPone is considered to be Broadway royalty. And there are so many reasons and ways why we should appreciate some of the amazing performances that she has given over the years. But I'm starting with the article so that you all can understand. And you see apologizes, right? Everybody apologizes after the fact, after they say something that is offensive. And she's devastated by what she said. Now, I'm also a woman of a certain age. I feel like I need to stop sharing and come back and say this to you all directly. I'm a woman of a certain age. And our ancestors did not tell us what perimenopause and menopause does to the female psyche and emotional balance and all that. I'm here to tell you today that it makes you sometimes act outside of yourself. However, Patti LuPone is more mature than me. She's not dealing with the same things that I am dealing with. So when I show you what she said and what she did, then I hope you will appreciate the side eye that I'm giving on behalf of all women of color in the performance world. Back to the article. Okay. So here it says, and I'll read it because I know it's small on your screen. Patti LuPone is apologizing for the recent comments she made in a New Yorker profile about Audra McDonald and Keisha Lewis that had the theater world buzzing. For as long as I've worked in the theater, I have spoken my mind and never apologized. That is changing today. I am deeply sorry for the words I used during the New Yorker interview, particularly about Keisha Lewis, which were demeaning and disrespectful, she wrote on Instagram this past Saturday. I regret my flippant and emotional responses during this interview, which were inappropriate. And I am devastated that my behavior has offended others and has run counter to what we hold dear in this community. I hope to have a chance to speak to Audra and Keisha personally to offer my sincere apologies. All right. I feel like I have to pause in between all this stuff to give you direct side eye so that when I get to what she said, you will understand why we're opening today's show with this specifically. All right. Back to the article. All right, we're scrolling down. We're scrolling down. This is what she said. La la la. 500 Broadway performers responded to this. Okay? Just so you know that it says what she said was a persistent failure to hold people accountable for violent, disrespectful, or harmful behavior, especially when they are powerful or well known. All kinds of people we know and love signed on to this. Lord of mercy. So, to what Patti LuPone actually said. You ready? Last fall, while LuPone was starring in The Roommate, she complained about the musical next door, Hell's Kitchen, in which Lewis was being being quote unquote too loud. After that, Lewis took to Instagram to say that LuPone was bullying, racially microaggressive, and rooted in privilege. In the New Yorker interview, LuPone responded by saying, here's the problem. She calls herself a veteran. Let's find out how many Broadway shows Keisha Lewis has done, because she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. She said, don't call yourself a vet, bitch. What? Okay. Going further, LuPone also said McDonald was not a friend, and that they, meaning Audra McDonald, and that they had a rift years ago. However, on this past Thursday, McDonald appeared on CBS Mornings to promote Gypsy and her 11th Tony nomination, and said she was surprised by LuPone's comments. If there's a rift between us, I don't know what it is. That's something you'd have to ask Patti about, she said. I haven't seen her in about 11 years because I've been busy with life and stuff. I've been busy with life and stuff. Classy. Love it. First of all, Audra McDonald is like, she's kind of like my Miss Jenkins. Can't nobody say nothing bad about Miss Jenkins. Don't say anything bad about Audra McDonald. She is a class act. She's hella talented and just fabulous. And so the idea that in her head, Patti LuPone has some kind of issue or rift with her that Audra herself knows nothing about is hilarious to me. But more importantly is the wide-eyed audacity of that woman in an interview. You know that everything you say when you sit down in front of a member of the press is going to be recorded, documented, noted, whether you give permission for that to be included in the piece or not. And she felt comfortable enough with the person interviewing her for the New Yorker to say what she said about Keisha Lewis. Now, a lot of people in the Black community in particular go, screw people and their mainstream awards and, you know, opinions and all the things. But as much as we try to put on a brave face, as much as those of us in the community are used to A, being rejected, B, being scrutinized and unfairly scrutinized for trying to do the work that we feel called to do, it still stings, y'all. It still feels very ungood when someone of such high regard in the community opens their mouth to say such filth about you, unprovoked, really. Just you doing what you do. Then all of a sudden she got a problem with you. So I want to share with you the other side. Since Sharice, of course, is checking us out today. And you see what she said. She said it because she absolutely meant it and she knew it would be published. And, you know, I agree with that. It is my Libra nature to try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but not when you're nasty. When you're nasty, you get no benefit of the doubt. It is harmful when you say and do those kinds of things. But I'm belaboring the point, and we have a guest coming on shortly. So I want to show you the flip side of this moment, the flip side of how karma sometimes is immediate. So I'm going to show you what happened with Keisha Lewis just last week. Give me 1 second. Again, we are screen sharing here on Instagram. Here we go. Oop, not that. All right, wait. Of course. This is my life right now, y'all, isn't it? trying to get the things that I want to show you up on screen at the right time. Yes. All right. Coming back, sharing screen again. Do. I hope it's this one. Yes, okay. Here we go.
This is from the Recording Academy. Dear Keisha Lewis, congratulations on your recognition at the 67th Grammy Awards. It is my great honor and genuine joy to send you this Grammy Award. Holding this gramophone in your hands, I hope you feel the weight of what it truly represents. This is not a trophy decided by journalists, executives, critics, or algorithms. This is a recognition given by your peers. Over 13,000 fellow music creators who listened, felt, and voted to honor your artistry. That kind of acknowledgement from those who understand just how hard this path can be is rare and meaningful, and you've earned it. Everything you sing or write, record or play, every moment you spend on your craft contributes to this larger story of progress and care for our creative community. Thank you for being part of it. I'm excited about the work ahead and look forward to many more opportunities to lift up music with music creators together. With deep respect and admiration, yours in music, Harvey Mason Jr., CEO, Recording Academy. National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, Keisha Lewis, Principal Vocalist, Best Musical Theater Album 2024, Hell's Kitchen Original Broadway.
Congratulations, Kiki.
Congratulations.
Yeah. That's how the creator works. And almost the same breath when that foulness was being printed and shared about another so-called Broadway star trying to tear that sister down, she got her Grammy in the mail with that beautiful letter of acknowledgement with a Grammy she won for the show that other lady was telling her was too loud in the theater next door. Ciao. Look at God. That's all I'm saying. These times are hard, y'all. These times are so hard for us out here trying to do the good creative work and share and be. Don't ever let anybody take you off your square. Keep doing the thing that you know you love, that you know you want and need to do, and persevere despite the BS. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And we come back. My guest has tried to log off and log back in to get his to get his camera working, all these things. We're going to push on beyond the technical nonsense. Hopefully the song will play for y'all, because I absolutely want to share with you this song for today's show. In particular, because the message is so right on time for what you just saw with Keisha Lewis. If you are from DC like me, then there are a few songs that I don't care where you're from. I don't care what era. There are certain things that are undeniably go-go and undeniably home. And this song is a remake of one of those, pairing the original artist with the person who is absolutely determined to share in this musical moment with him. So, as we bring on my guest for today, Priest the Nomad, this is his song from the album Receipts, a remake of the song by DJ Cool. It's called The Music Ain't Loud Enough. We'll be right back with more great conversation and music after this. One time for my man, Priest the Nomad. Hey, yo, Priest, it's time to remix one of my classics. I said the music game loud enough. Pump up the volume. Come on, come on. Pump up the volume. I said the music game loud enough. Pump up the volume. Louder, louder. Pump up the volume. I said the music game loud enough. Pump up the volume. Come on, come on. Just another bit. I said the music game loud enough. You can't sound good. The volume. Listen, sounds the same shit. Poetry raised the fist. At least see they slice niggas. Give them lines like Kate Smith. I emerged from that bubble with good trouble. John Lewis, we fluid. Then we travel amongst the stars like Hubble. Pump bass to the alpine. They eat you prejudice. Very tough below 100 hertz. Keeping me relevant. Priest the Nomad's the name. Hit your city like acid rain in June. When you hear it, nigga. Famous cheese. Screwing each other over for the rap race. DJ Cool Rock Stadium. Y'all scratching in cafes. We true to the nucleus of hip hop. We own it. So if you hear a wiki, bitch nigga, jam on it. Yeah, we know. On the track team demo. So much weed on them. We had the camouflage in the green window. That sunbeam window. They watching me with this thing. Man, I pump that shit louder. Make it say my name. Never. Come on, pump up the volume. Come on. Pump up the volume. Yeah, the music ain't loud enough. Pump up the volume. So many games, see that y'all promoters was getting with me. Now my composition book, slaying niggas like Mississippi. Now y'all eating crow like Jim. Your whole life's spent. That lady singing the shooter, so that hoe can't win. We locked into the game plan. My third eye vision reflect off the sun like some Ray-Bans. I know the culture is safe hands. All state, nah, that's the good hands. We the new brand. First class, say yes to your memory, like some new brand. Cool when you at. Slim, I get you. That's the motherfucking DC. That signal we with you. DMV want the smoke slam. Y'all know how we get down from the city when they pack 4 pounds. Flip your chest muscles upside down. That's what we pack the fire for. That's my mind state deeper than iron ore. The lion roars in that mic booth. We speak truth in tune for your spirit when you hear it, nigga. The music ain't loud. And we are back. Listen. You see me? Your VibeMistress Stephanie Renée. On today's The MOJO Live, all kinds of technical difficulties are happening with us today, but we mush on anyway. Thank you for that line comment. For those of you who don't know, he said, I forget the song. It says, it's a dog eat dog world. You got to mush on. And so that is what we are doing today. We're hoping that the audio comes through, even if the video does not, which it does not look like it's going to do. But joining me on the line today is the artist that was primary in that last song, my very good friend, a DC hip hop staple. And he has a new film out that we want to hear about. And for those of you who live in the DMV, you have an opportunity to see it in the theater space on this coming weekend. So joining me now on the line is Priest the Nomad. Priest, holla at me. Can I hear you? Let's see.
Hey. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Yo, I know devil is busy today, right? Look, I'm fighting a sinus infection, and so forgive my voice and all that. And yeah, live stream ain't feeling the black progression today, Slim.
But you know, we're gonna push on.
Like Keisha Lewis, they can't stop us, though.
Right. Exactly. You try to tear her down in one interview, she gets her Grammy in the mail the next day.
Church.
This is how we got to do it. We got to keep pushing regardless.
Exactly.
So listen, I need to take this moment because Sharice and I were talking about it I heard that last night. You know, you were our very first guest.
Yes.
For our music and talk evening program.
Tell it.
And you and I have known each other for a gajillion years because we have come up in this same, you know, I do not consider myself to be an MC by any stretch of the imagination, but we know that hip hop and spoken word have walked parallel tracks. Absolutely. In terms of open mics and developing material and everything else, which is how you and I became acquainted. But take people back just a little bit verbally to how you feel like you got started in the hip hop game and even representing hip hop for DC.
Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, my start, you know, that's the beautiful thing about hip hop period and DC, is that there's so much stuff always going on in DC, right? Everybody knows for go-go and a couple other things, but hip hop has always been a subculture. And my entry in the space was as a dancer, right? Because I started off in the clubs. I was sneaking out of high school, and going to the clubs, Chapter 3, for those who know, the Ritz.
Yes.
Way back in the day, Clubhouse, Kilimanjaro, all those spots, DC, by close to Howard and all that. So that was my first entry in the clubs. And then through that, I was with a crew called House Nation. It was house music, it was hip hop, it was all of that, right?
Yes.
So one of my peers in House Nation, Monty, wound up managing Biz Markie. Mm-hmm. And he started managing me when I came back rhyming. And, you know, it was kind of like we connected. And through that, it was like me and Biz rhymed together down UVA's Homecoming in 92. And then it was like, oh, you know, you really need to really take it seriously. And that's kind of what it got me into it. And then upon doing stuff trying to get around DC in the circuit, I ran into an organization called the Freestyle Union.
Yes.
With Tony Blackman, his sister, that went to Howard University. So that's how I met a lot of crews in DC and found out, you know, I was on, you know, at that time in the 90s, if people know, there was the wrapping up of still, I mean, the crack era was known mostly in the 80s, but it was definitely still in the early and mid 90s as well.
Yeah.
Right. So we were dealing with there was a lot of conflict between DC and New York, I think, on the streets. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that at the time, right? So what we were doing was considered, the New York Bama stuff by DC, a lot of DC dudes, right? So it wasn't like no like animosity. It was more like, okay, y'all weird.
Right.
Well,
yes.
y'all doing that stuff over there. And we all found each other on U Street.
Yeah.
And a lot of crews and stuff. And then and so we all found that like there's weird kids like us all over the city. and we all got together. And then the poets came because they were doing stuff down Georgetown, and then they came to U Street and stuff like that. So, you know, It's Your Mug Cafe, all these, you know, spots and stuff. And then other people from out of town started coming to U Street, and that's how we all really got to see it. And then little did we know, we revitalized that whole corridor, because if you know the history of U Street, Black Broadway,
yes,
it was decimated in the 1968 riots.
Yes.
Right. And then it became, you know, messed up with the crack era and all that type of stuff. So we were the revitalization of that corridor.
Yes.
We didn't realize it, that what we were doing back then, it was just the incubation space of artists. Yeah.
Right. And the significance of it. And, you know, I think what I've learned in terms of, you know, my translating into my adulthood here in Philadelphia, and then coming back to DC to perform when I could and continue to build community, is that we went where we were allowed to go. You know, we didn't own venues, so we were busy trying to negotiate spaces where we would be welcomed or at least allowed.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of the younger generation, particularly people who moved to Philly after the explosion of Black Lily.
Yep.
See,
yes.
You know,
yes.
they treated Philly like it was a destination, like this was a place where this stuff could just happen. It's like, nah, boo, people had to fight a lot.
Right.
Trying to find the spaces where we could congregate.
Right.
Even to just be able to grow the culture in the way that we wanted to.
Always a fight. Always a fight. I mean, it still is.
Yes.
It still is trying to find spaces, because spaces come and go. Close down. I mean, of course, DC is one of the most gentrified cities. Well, for a minute, it was the most gentrified city in the nation.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of loss of Black history, you know, Black spaces for us, even if they weren't owned by us. They were a part of our community, because we sustained them.
Absolutely.
As artists and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons for the documentary, because there's a, you know, with the gentrification, we already had the challenge of not being a state, right, in DC, and having outsiders have some type of control through politics and business interests, setting up shop here.
Yes.
And then they bring in their people, and they have no caring or no clue to the history of the natives here.
Right.
And so all that get messed up. And then, you know, and then things get erased and people don't get talked about no more. And then there's new things that come, and they don't have a connection to the elders.
Right.
Right. And then the new things are just wild, because they don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
U Street is wild right now. Youngest is wilding out on U Street right now. It's crazy. And that's, I think there's a disconnection of lineage there.
For sure.
You know, there are new spaces opening up. There's a new space called Everyday People. That's a real dope congregation space. A lot of dope DJs, artists again. So shout out to them. But it's gone through changes, from totally being white again to, you know, gentrification, and then like getting somebody, and then things getting messed up, and then people, you know, wilding out. I mean, that's the same thing happened to Adams Morgan. And stuff back then. So it's kind of like matriculated to U Street. You know? So it's that we have to make these connections, man. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm also really curious to hear, the title of your documentary is "I Was the Weirdo." So you've given us sort of a lead up for that.
Right.
But I want to also talk a little bit about the learning process for you, because you've talked about your evolution from dancer to MC, you know, in this space, and now documentary filmmaker. So what, I guess, kind of new lessons do you feel you have added to the repertoire? You know, you're also a producer, so you've been behind the boards, all these things. What other skill set do you feel you have sort of fine-tuned or tweaked in this filmmaking process?
Yeah, it's funny, right? The dancer to MC to engineer.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was working at Omega Studios in Rockville. Engineer, became a producer by becoming an engineer, because I learned how to produce by being an engineer, right? And then, you know, and what happened, my foray into this film space was, we were doing our own music videos. So me and my cinematographer, my man Craig Kilgore, shout out to Craig. We were doing we did the music. I directed the Music Ain't Loud Enough video.
Yeah.
I directed Can't Lose the Soul. That was my first video I directed, like in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we got like 10, 11 videos under our belt. So that gave us the working relationship of knowing that we could get it done. When I had the concept of doing it, it was like, okay, well, how am I going to approach it? And sometimes, say ignorance is bliss.
Yep.
Like, we don't know. We can't overthink what we don't know.
Right.
I don't even know what to think. Like, I don't know the process to lay it all out. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Guerrilla filmmaking 101.
Right. So it was literally, all right, I need to document this stuff. And then, my man Storm, shout out to Storm the Unpredictable, my old partner.
Yes.
Storm was like, yo, man, I got 2 bags of VHS tapes. Storm always had a video camera, like filming ciphers, filming our shows, because we always wanted to critique our shows. Yeah. So we, you watch your shows and you're like, oh, we need to move better. We need to do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he always had, so he's like, yeah. And then, shows that we did, like cable access TV, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, well, I just bought a little converter for my Mac and just started digitizing over like a year and one thing I want to say that I wanted to really get to, I'm talking to a lot of youth. Last night we had a celebration event for the documentary with a lot of people involved. Some youngers were there, and I told them that one of the things I really want to push is the embrace of marathon movement, of the long haul. Yes. Right? Having the patience and the discipline to work on something for a big goal over a period of time. This documentary was 4 years in the making, right? So in the meantime, I'm putting out records and albums and stuff like that as an MC and musician. But in the background, we're working on this thing. And I just think that one of the skill sets was just that I proved to myself is that having that discipline in a microwave society that we're in right now, instant gratification, instant post, all that type of stuff. So that's one thing. And then being a part of hip hop is guerrilla, right? We just know guerrilla. It's like, man, just do the job. Just I don't know. I said, we did a video. I said, look, this is what I want to do. And then I just started laying stuff out. And then in the process of doing, it was discovery. Yes. So I just started discovering things and making connections and getting deeper into things and how, because I'm a connector. Yes. I love connecting dots, right? And connecting folks and people and stories to show that this is a big thing. It's much bigger than me. So I'm just using my 30-year plus story as a narration to connect a lot of different things and prominence and stuff and challenges in the nation's capital. Dealing with, as an artist, you're dealing with politics, you're dealing with street issues, you're dealing with everything that life deals with because life is art, right? Yeah. So that's the thing. And then, just finding out discovering how to organize, me and my friend, how to work on Frame.io, how to work on Adobe Premiere, just kind of, just doing stuff that me and Craig is a video editor and cinematographer. So he was able to bring those skill sets. I mixed the doc because I'm an engineer, audio wise. Right. My friend from that worked with me at Omega, who's now at Discovery Channel, is a senior engineer that he mastered it. So it's, So it was just like always using community. Yeah. Using everything about my whole career has always been about using community. The people around, like our relationship is over 25 years plus, if not longer. So, and we've stayed, really great friends and comrades throughout so much. And it's because we both value community. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, listen, and I know I'm asking you, I want all this information from you, but I'm also mindful that you barely got a voice. You are pushing. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. In this space. But people ask me a lot when I released No Such Thing as Neo Soul. They were like, well, what made you decide you wanted to do a film? I said, because a film needed to be done. Yep.
And so I bought a camera and I talked to my friends and I pulled together information and I created part of the story that I felt needed to be told at the time. And so shout out to all the documentarians or budding documentarians who might be listening right now or will see this on the replay, because you can't wait for somebody else to tell the story that you know you have in your heart to tell. You got to figure it out and pull together your community resources to get it done. Because the longer the time moves on, the less access you have to the memories, to the recordings or other resources that will help shape that story. So I want to thank you for being persistent over the last 4 years of deciding that not only did this film need to be done, but to seeing it through to its completion. And now, this weekend, people in the DC area have an opportunity to come sit down in a space with others and experience this. So please give people all of the details about how they can see I Was the Weirdo on Sunday.
Yes. So the documentary is called I Was the Weirdo. It is having its DC premiere. It's already shown in a hip hop film festival in Italy, but it's having a DC premiere this weekend. The festival is June. It's the Light Reel Film Festival. Reel as an REEL. So Light Reel Film Festival that runs Thursday to Sunday, June 5th through the 8th. So our premiere screening was Friday, June 6th. We were a headliner spotlight film. We sold out that show. We made history. They never sold out a film in the 6 years that they've been running. So we got an encore screening on Saturday, June 7th at 2:30 p.m. It's at Union Market in D.C. in Northeast D.C.
Nice.
For my old heads, the old Florida Avenue Market.
Right.
And in Northeast D.C. So, Steph, I'll send you the link for tickets if you want to post. For the Saturday, tickets will go right to my screening.
Okay.
For anybody that's in the area. And if you see me on IG or whatever, Priest Da Nomad, then you can hit me, DM me. I'll send you the link for tickets. They put it in a bigger theater for Saturday.
Nice.
We had already outsold the other film that was supposed to be in that theater. So, and that's to go to your point. This is guerrilla. This is hustling. This is because it wasn't just the film is in a thing. No, we hitting people. We street teaming, right?
Yes.
We street teaming, hitting folks, DMing folks, texting folks, all that through that hip hop, that guerrilla grind. We just making it happen. And just to put off to your point, yes, for all the filmmakers, do not wait. I've lost a number of people.
Yes.
During the course of making this documentary.
Yes.
Shout out to my man Prime, Hans Prime Dawson, first host of Rap City BT. He's in footage. Shout out to Super Funk Regulated CeeLo, and from WPGC and WKYS down here, passed away. And I have a whole hour interview of him that I'm just holding on to. But he's in a documentary as well. So you can't wait.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? I had to put a memorial at the end of this doc.
Yeah.
For all the people that were lost, Freestyle Union folks, a whole bunch of folks. You know what I'm saying? So don't wait. Get it done. Yeah. So this Saturday, I do want to announce too that we just got into Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival in August. So we'll be there. Yeah. So I want to make that announcement after the light real quick.
Let's get all the bougie black folk together and take out the guerrilla hip hop documentary.
Yes. So shout out.
Yes.
Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. So, and that festival is always well attended.
Yes, I know all about it. So I give God the praise, man. We're moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. Well, listen, I am happy to share the link. As a matter of fact, I was like, if you want to share the ticket link on Facebook, in the comments of the broadcast, for people that are watching there, they can instantly go there, and then I'll make sure it gets over to YouTube as well, so that people can go directly to it and purchase those tickets and sell out the bigger theater.
Yep.
On Saturday. Yes.
Jump right on this, sis. Thank you.
Listen, well, I you know how much I love and appreciate you. I'm happy. I'm happy to see you continually shining, and that despite how many obstacles try and put itself in our path, trying to tell us that this isn't what we're supposed to be doing, you and I persist. And
get thee behind us, Satan. get thee behind us.
Because we do it, I tell people all the time, and I put it up on the screen too, we do it for the culture. That's why we do it, and we will not be erased. And as long as you and I continue to have our voices be heard in these various forums, reminding people of the history, but also trying to push the culture forward, we will never be written out of the book, sir.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I love you, sis. Keep doing amazing things.
Thank you for taking out some time today to share your gift with the people. We'll make sure that we uplift that link and get this film sold out, and then we'll continue to talk about it because we need to get it here to Philly too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
We're
gonna wrap on that.
We'll circle back on that and make that happen as well.
All right,
darling. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, Priest the Nomad, dancer, hip hop artist, MC, recording engineer, now filmmaker, and his film, I Was The Weirdo, is going to be screening this Saturday at the Light Reel Festival in DC, Northeast DC. We want to make sure that for those of you who are in the area or can get there, that you will join him for that, help him sell out the venue, help him amplify this history. Because when I tell you nobody was checking for DC hip hop, and here we are, here he is continuing to do it. And along the way, the lives that have been touched, the way that the culture has evolved, thanks to him, thanks to my girl to the end, Tony Blackman, and what she did with Freestyle Union and making sure that the FemC was included in this conversation as well. It is all necessary addition to the history. So I'm deeply thankful for all of them. I'm going to try and take a moment to share some more music with you that speaks to this energy that we are doing today. The songs have not been playing today, but we're going to try this again. And just in case it doesn't play, you get a chance to look it up. But another alternative, if you want to call him that, MC in the industry is Michael Franti and his group Spearhead. And he has a song on the album Stay Human that reminds us that just because you're a little different, just because you see things and do things in a different way than what the mainstream is doing, does not make you a bad person, does not mean you should be an outcast. This song is the title track to that album, and the subtitle I think you will appreciate. It's called All the Funky People, Freaky People, All the Freaky People. So hang tight. We're going to try and play the song for you the regular way. If not, we'll play it through my microphone so you can hear a little bit of it, and we'll come back to conclude today's Mojo in just a moment. It just wasn't meant to be today, y'all. I don't know why. I don't know why all of a sudden audio, video, all kinds of issues we are having here today, but it is not working for the kid today. And everything was working just fine before we went live. We go live and then all of a sudden things start happening. But I welcome you back to the conclusion of today's Mojo. I'm your VibeMistress Stephanie Renée. And again, the song I was trying to play for you is the title track of the Michael Franti and Spearhead album, Stay Human, All the Freaky People. And so if you're a weirdo, of course you're a freak. And I know that freaky has now become a meme in so many ways because of the Diddy trial. So we don't mean freaky in that way. We mean freaky as in not quite normal or standard, if that makes any sense. So just present it in the way that it was given. I was going to try to cue up a clip from this film. I don't know that that's going to work either, but we may try it before I log off. But the other piece that I wanted to share with you today is in regard to legacy. Again, rewritten, stolen, Columbus legacy as it relates to hip hop and house music. So I'm going to share this post. And you know, house music is near and dear to my heart for all the reasons. But if you have not seen this travesty, then allow me to share this with you as well. As posted by my buddy in the culture, Scott Polson Bryant, formerly of Vibe magazine, professor at Harvard, all the things. Y'all, David Guetta. Now, many of us are familiar with him as being a super successful DJ, playing at all these humongous thousands and thousands of people festivals and all the things. But this man had the bald ass audacity, and yeah, I'm saying it just like that. The screenshots don't show the entire thing, but he said, I started DJing in clubs at 17 years old before house music was even existed. I was playing 8-hour sets, 6 days a week, a journey through disco, funk, soul, and new wave on turntables. And that's how I learned. It felt so good to see people really dance again, dressed up and all glittery. So much fun. And then he is inviting people to dates he's doing in Vegas. I'm going to stop sharing because I don't want y'all to read any more of that nonsense while I say what I say right now. Because I said it in the comments. And so I'm going to say it to you all. Somebody, please tap David Guetta on the shoulder and let him know that house music probably existed before he existed in physical form on this earthly plane. House music was a construction, a beautiful artistic expression that came from the Black gay community and then became a phenomenon throughout the rest of the culture. Sir, you did not exist before house music existed. You are not the gift. You are not the father. You are not anything related to it except someone who was accepted by mainstream music to play dance and EDM. What you play isn't even really, truly house in the way that we understand it historically. Now listen, he has produced some bangers. Your Precious Love, that is a 4 on the floor. That gets people up and dancing, sure enough. But before house music existed, sir, I just cannot. And I hope that those of you who are watching this program also cannot. Anytime people try to tell you something and they say it with such conviction that you might even question whether or not you got the history right, whether you remember it correctly in your head. We can all, if you are a househead in particular, can think of artists who had hits before we ever heard David Guetta's name. So The reason that this is particularly important is part of what I was saying to Priest, that these documentaries that we don't necessarily have public funding or lots of private foundation funding to get done so that we can tell the stories of our culture and tell the stories of our history. They are not just frivolous. They are not just something nice to have. They are freaking essential to maintain the purity, the correct history, the language, everything around what our culture is based in and on. If we don't preserve it ourselves, we can't depend on anyone else to do it. And if they do try, they're going to get it wrong because they're coming in from a different experience, a different perspective, and they will not treat it with reverence. They will treat it as something else to do, generally to make a buck. And while I certainly would love for my artistry to earn a proper living and allow me to be comfortable in my continued exploration of other stories to tell, other songs to sing, other productions to produce, that is not my motivating factor ever, and never has been. It's about telling the story correctly and telling it with heart and soul and purpose. And so do not allow people like David Guetta, I don't care how big his reputation is, I don't care how much he makes when he spins. Do not let him be the defining factor for house music. Do not let Patti LuPone, with all of her accolades and history, be the deciding factor for what belongs on a Broadway stage and at what volume. Do not let people silence your culture, erase you from history. Say no and mean it. All right? Lord willing, we'll be back again next Wednesday at noon to continue this cultural conversation. I'm your VibeMistress Stephanie Renée, and do not take for granted that you have chosen to spend some time with me today or whenever you happen to view this broadcast. And I hope you will choose to do so again. For more information about my nonprofit organization, you can visit us online at our home, soul-sanctuary.net. You can make a donation to help us continue to do the things that we do. But by all means, like, share, spread the word about all of this work and help us continue to do it. Until next time, wishing you, as always, I sign off each and every one of my radio broadcasts as wishing you love, peace, and positive vibes.